Are you wondering what it is? The biggest lie that most men believe about testosterone that's being peddled by doctors, trainers, nutritionists, and the mainstream media alike? Well, in this video, I'm going to reveal it to you. So in 2011, Australian researchers went out and recruited 325 men between the ages of 40 and 97 who had self-reported excellent health and no symptoms to complain of. Alright, so blood samples were collected from these men 9 times over the next 3 months, and when they looked at the entire sample size, despite the huge age range, alright, from 40 to 97, age failed to have an influence on testosterone. So here's what lead researcher Dr. David Handelsman had to say about the research. Alright, I'm just going to read it out real quick. So by itself, age does not cause a lower testosterone in healthy men. It's more likely that lowering of testosterone is a consequence of illnesses men acquire as they get older, like cardiovascular disease and obesity. Alright, so bottom line, what David Handelsman and his team found was that although older age correlates with declining testosterone levels, older age is not the cause of declining testosterone levels. Alright, now you might be skeptical of this research given that it was only 325 men and it was also a small segment of the population which had self-reported excellent health and no symptoms to complain of. So this study was published in 2007, and there's a bunch of research that has come out since then that has found similar conclusions. Alright, so let's go over some of that research as well. So in 2014, a group of researchers set out to establish and publish for the first time ever an age-related normative model for testosterone levels. So they looked at over 13 scientific studies which had more than 10,000 subjects that they had looked at, and basically plotted the average testosterone levels according to age in 10-year increments, and plotted them based on a percentile analysis. So a percentile analysis basically shows where they stand according to others within that same age bracket. So what they found was that yes, older age correlated with lower testosterone levels. But when you looked at the highest percentile of men, for example, in the 97.5th percentile, which is basically the person in that percentile has higher testosterone levels than 97.5% men in that age bracket. But when they looked at the 97.5 percentile analysis, what they found was that age failed to have an influence. Alright, so regardless of whether they were 25 years old or they were 75 years old, age did not impact the testosterone levels of men that remained in the upper percentile. Alright, so based on my analysis of these findings, it is that if you maintain your health, your nutrition, your sleep, your lifestyle towards optimal measures, then age will not impact your testosterone levels to such a significant extent. Alright, now that's the first study that I found. Now let's talk about the findings of another study that was actually published even more recently. So in 2017, a group of researchers collected blood samples from more than 9,000 men living across the US and Europe. Alright, once again they plotted the results on a normative age-related model based on a percentile analysis, and once again the same findings were found. Alright, the men in the upper percentiles, regardless of their age, maintained very high testosterone levels. Alright, so what I have to say and what you can conclude from these 3 studies that I've just gone over is that age is not the primary cause of declining testosterone. Alright, that is just something that the big pharmaceutical companies want you to believe so that they can sell you more product. Now if you do get into the habit of making the diet and lifestyle changes that will allow you to produce optimal levels of testosterone, then there's no saying that age will be a factor contributing to the decline. The correlation between age and testosterone only exists because men on a general scope tend to get unhealthier as they age because they neglect making the changes in their life. So in my 20s, I actually found myself on the other side of the spectrum, all right? I was very tired all the time. I was sleeping a lot of the time. Like during the day, I just take naps because I was so tired. I was chugging coffee all the time just to stay awake. I was skinny fat. I barely had the energy to muster out my pull-ups and push-ups. And at that point, I used to think that lower testosterone levels was only something older guys had to worry about, all right? But me, I was just one of the many examples of men that were suffering from suboptimal testosterone production in their 20s, all right? Once again, lending credence to the fact that age is not a significant factor in your testosterone, all right? What it really comes down to at the end of the day is your decisions regarding how you eat, move, sleep, and go about everyday life, all right? Nothing more. Don't fall for the hype. Don't fall for the myth that once you pass 40, your testosterone is instantly gonna fall. Actually, I've heard people saying that once you hit 30, it immediately starts to fall. And although that may be true, it's not age in itself that's causing the decline. It is your diet and lifestyle. With all that being said, my call to action for you is this, all right? If you don't know your current testosterone level, then you should go and have it measured ASAP, all right? Because that will provide a picture towards where you are right now and where you want to be. Now, the normal range, and I put that in quotes there because the normal range goes from like 300 nanograms per deciliter to over 1100 nanograms per deciliter. And me, personally, when I found myself in the position where I was tired, lazy, and depressed, my total testosterone level came at 564 nanograms per deciliter, all right? That's a level considered well within the so-called normal range, but it was still a level at which I was experiencing all the symptoms associated with low testosterone. After taking the steps to naturally increase my level from 564 to 902 nanograms per deciliter, and I've gone over all of these steps in other videos which I can link out to below, these symptoms completely disappeared, all right? So for you, always strive for optimal. Forget going for normal, all right? And I define optimal as anywhere over 700 nanograms per deciliter. But what it really comes down to at the end of the day is how you feel on a day-to-day basis. So I'll link out to my ultimate guide below, which goes over how you can go about actually getting your testosterone level measured without the need of a medical prescription. You can follow that there, but the bottom line is that know where your number is. At least get a measurement once every 6 months, if not once every year, at least, at the very minimum, so that you know where you are and where you need to be, which, if you ask me, should be every single man who's striving for his potential and making improvements in his life should strive for a level above 700 nanograms per deciliter, all right? So do that now. Check out my blog post below. It'll tell you how to do that. And I hope that this myth that you probably once believed before watching the video has been busted, and that you can get rid of it and get empowered to start taking the action steps to improve the quality of your energy, well-being, health, and how you show up in life. With all that being said, this has been Mo Salim from TripleYourT.com, and I'll see you soon.